Hello, hello, whoever may be here or whoever may see this in the future. Welcome to Rest, Reset, and Reflect. If you haven't joined me before, my name is Nyam Adedwaji, and I am a contemplative sabbatical coach and writer, and I partner with mid-career folks in tech to create joyful, creative, and intuitive career breaks as an avenue for interchange. And this space is a really informal space to give you a moment to pause, reconnect to yourself, your breath, and your body throughout your day. It's very easy to get disconnected from those parts of ourself as we're moving through the day. So I always start this time with it's generally around 10 to 15-minute time to do a bit of a meditation, breathing, body scan type of exercise. And if you want to stick around after, I normally do a little bit, maybe it's a little bit of a rant and rave, but topics are always around rest, reclamation, identity shifts, and career breaks. Today, what I'm going to quote unquote rant and rave about is two spicy takes on the current job market situation. So if you're intrigued and you have the time, stay around after, or you can always check out the recording after. So if you are joining in to take a beat and a pause, welcome. I want to invite you to wherever you are, find a comfortable setup, a private space. You may be at home, you may be at the office. Find whatever space feels comfortable for you, where you feel like you can kind of just let yourself be. And that could be, if you're at the office, maybe there's a private little corner in the office. Maybe it's a little spot outside. Just find a place where you feel like you can be. And if you're at home, or maybe if you are at the office and there's a kind of space where you can do this, or you feel just free to do it, invite you to get really comfortable. Maybe even lie down on the floor, on a bed, on a couch. Take a moment to look around your space. See if there's anything you want to adjust that helps you relax and be comfortable even more. And once you've done that, shift and adjust your body to be in a position that feels comfortable for you. When you feel ready, I invite you to close your eyes and keep a soft gaze. And first, I want to invite you to notice what would help you feel even more grounded and settled in your body. That could be maybe placing a hand on heart, maybe placing a hand on chest, on belly, or somewhere else on your body. It could be gently swaying back and forth. It could even be a gentle hum. Inviting you to adjust, place hands on body or even sound in a way that helps you feel even more grounded. And as you've done that, I want to invite you to notice your breath. There's nothing that you need to do or change here. Just notice how it feels for that air to move in and out of your body. Maybe you notice if it has a temperature, a texture, a weight. Just tuning in to this force of life that moves in and out of your body. And as you tune into your breath, I invite you to bring awareness where your body is making contact with either a seat, your feet on the floor, or if you're lying down, your back and your legs against the surface. And inviting you to see if you can let yourself be very heavy. Can you let yourself sink into these surfaces? Maybe if you're carrying something heavy from the day, you even let yourself imagine yourself dropping all that heaviness into the earth, letting it support your weight and take on those heavy things. And as you notice and sink deeper into the surfaces that are supporting you, I want to invite you to become aware of your heart and heart space. Maybe here you want to place a hand, or maybe you just subtly become aware of what is moving in this area. You're invited and welcome to breathe in any way this area may be calling for. Maybe there is a movement, big or small, that you want to take here. Maybe you roll your shoulders back or forward. Maybe you twist. Just inviting you to tune into this heart area and move in whatever way it feels like this space is calling for. And as you become alive and aware of what is present in your heart area, I invite you to gently bring your awareness to your pelvic area and hips, your lower back and sacrum. And I invite you here, so maybe you notice if there are points of tension. You're invited to gently breathe into your left hip, to gently breathe into your right hip, and to create space and focus on your center. And here too, you're invited to take any movements, big or small, in this sacrum area, in your hips and your pelvis. You're invited to breathe, to stretch, to move in a way that feels good for this area. And as you've connected into these different parts of your body and are maybe feeling more in tune with what's bubbling, brewing, feels alive in you, I want to invite you to consider this question. There's nothing you need to do or change or force. Just let yourself see what resounds and comes up in your body. How can I be more open to possibility? Again, inviting you to notice, how can you be more open to possibility? And as you hold that question in your body, I invite you to even see if you can move with whatever stirs for you. Even if it's not directly related to that question and you feel like other thoughts are coming up, just you could even see it as a form of play. And how does it feel to move like those thoughts, like whatever is bubbling up? Is there a shape that your body feels led to take in response to that question? Is there a way you feel led to move, to breathe, a sound to make? Maybe even notice just what does possibility feel like in your body? Just a gentle inquiry and invitation to let this question resonate within you. And as you let this question resonate within you, I invite you to notice if there's a particular, maybe word, phrase, movement, sound, song, color, symbol that is coming up for you and that serves as an anchor point in response to this question of how can I be more open to possibility? I invite you to perhaps gently root into that response that comes up for you. And maybe in that you want to give a brief word of thanks to your body for what your body has shown you, for what wisdom, breath, and presence is there. Maybe there are final movements, sighs, breath, release, or sound, or even a shake or a shimmy that you want to do. And when it feels right for you in your own time, coming back to a point of stillness and gently opening your eyes. Maybe you want to look around the space you're in to reorient. Maybe you want to take a deep breath in and out, doing the final shake. And if you are someone that you need to either maybe get back to your day, thanks for joining along wherever you are. If there's something that resonated for you, always love to hear that either now or in the comments whenever you may see this. And also wanting to invite, if you maybe have more time, but you're tired of being in front of screen, maybe, and there's good weather or something, maybe just take a little walk. Move your body a little bit more. Get out of, if you're in the office, get out of those fluorescent lights, or maybe you're in an office that has nicer lights. I hope you are. But as I say, take care of you. We are living in very wild times, so please take good care. And if you are hanging around to chat, or you're watching this later, welcome. Thanks for coming to this TED Talk on my spicy takes on the job market. I think this will be short. There's just two things I want to talk about. And the context for this, I mean, I think we're all living in it, swimming in it, but one is just the overall context of what continues to unfurl in the world. There's a lot of stability, a lot of uncertainty, and that is wild to be living through. And I don't know what else more there is to say about that. And the next thing that I'll say is, in the tech sector, seeing that there continue to be round upon round of layoffs. This year, I know there have been layoffs from Meta, Reality Labs, from Amazon, and most recently, the layoffs from Block, where about 40% of their workforce was laid off. And as always, my heart goes out to folks who are navigating this reality. As I always say, it's a 100% understandable if you are experiencing grief in the midst of a layoff, because we spend so much time at work and we often make really meaningful connections and we do work that's important to us. And sometimes too, our identities get connected into jobs. So I do hope that you can honor whatever comes up for you in terms of this, and you can honor grief that is present. And I'm also of the mind that, and we've been hearing this since 2020, and it has only gotten wilder since at least 2020. We're in unprecedented times. Things are rapidly changing. Some version of that. I feel like I think that, see that, watch that, read that, some version of that every single day. And I'm of the mind that whatever you've understood to be normal is not coming back. That's obviously different for every person, but I myself have sought to accept that normal is not coming back and that things are probably going to continue to change. So with that, I have like a couple of thoughts that I often think, and I'm going to put them out into the world. Before I put them out into the world, because I always feel like on the internet, you need to, you need to do this. What I'm not, when these spicy takes, what I'm not saying is, again, I'm certainly not invalidating the difficult realities of suddenly finding yourself without work and wondering and worrying about, what happens next, what happens economically, what about your family. I am never, never, never saying that. That's all so real, and I honor that. And I seek to, as I mentioned before, hope that you take space to honor that and have the support that you need to navigate that uncertainty. But these spicy takes, what I'm also not saying is that anybody should like go into their job. If you do still have a job, go into their job and like storm and rage and like quit tomorrow. I also wouldn't advise that, or that's certainly not what I'm saying. And the final caveat that I'll say is, I'm also not saying that things are not challenging. What I'm saying is, with these spicy takes, is I want to invite you into possibility. All right. So, in terms of my first spicy take, one is that I think a lot of you are still holding on to a notion that a full time job is the highest form of stability. And it's understandable, right? I think many of us have been raised with that notion. And I think for a certain generation of people at a certain time in the US, that was like a really strong form of stability in a time decades ago where folks could have a full time job and you had that job stayed pretty stable throughout time and you had a pension so that when you retire, you were kind of set. But as we know, throughout the decades, that shifted. It gradually shifted to where, even now, I believe a lot of government jobs like don't even have pensions. And we've also seen, what has happened in our own government in the US around folks losing jobs in that sector. We've seen that instead of having, that set pension now shifting over to 401ks and you need to take over a lot of the taking care of your finances for retirement. We've also seen with the number of layoffs that are happening that it's not a given that your full-time job is in place and for sure locked in. I don't think we're anymore in a time where even if you do have a full-time job, where you can just kind of kick back. I think that we're in a time where you need to, in mindset, reclaim and take back ownership of stability. Because I think what a lot of folks may do is your mindset is my employer provides my stability. And so, with that mindset, you feel totally destabilized when your employer, when you get laid off, when your employer, there's kind of a breach or break of trust. And what I want to offer as a reframe is that you provide stability for yourself and your family through your expertise, your skills, your gifts, your community, non financial resources that you have, financial resources that you have. You are the one who envisions and creates that stability for yourself and your family. And having a full time job is a part of your strategy of how you execute that, but it's not the source of your stability. So that's a little bit of a flip because you're not saying, if I don't have this element, I'm totally destabilized, but you're owning for yourself that you're the mastermind of how you create stability for yourself and for your family. Because ultimately, when you have a job, even if it's a full time job, you are essentially contracting with a company or an organization to offer your expertise, your time, your talent, your energy, your skills in exchange for compensation, which can be financial compensation, it could be benefits, it could be other resources that you get from being a full time employee. So, a couple of things that I want to offer, right, with this reframe. So, with this reframe, how can you start to create a contingency and stability plan for you and your family? If you're still in work, how do you understand what your baseline expenses are and continue to beef up saving so that you have that? How do you look at your investments and how those are tracking long term? So that's an option. How do you look at building other skills and avenues so that you are quietly in the background creating other off ramps and avenues for yourself for income, for revenue, so that it doesn't knock you off your feet if the unexpected happens. And so there are few names, I'll include all of these links later, but there are a few names I want to put out into the mix. One is Jules Fideli. I'm not sure if this is how you say her name. So apologies to her if she ever sees this and I've said it wrong. Um, but she is a person that she works specifically with women, but also include links for folks that work with women and men. Um, she works with folks to create portfolio careers. So if you're not familiar with a portfolio career is essentially that you have multiple ways. It's essentially that you bring in money in multiple ways, right? So it could be maybe you have one of those revenue streams is something like a digital or physical product. You have another one where you do consulting. Maybe you have another one where you have books. So you can mix and match your strengths, your experience, your skill set in order to bring in money in different ways. So she has a lot of great content, a lot of great information that I'll include there. Another person that you can follow is Shane, I believe her name is Shana Anderson, Hello Generalist. And these are folks that, in particular, Jules talks about a notion of quiet building. So if you are still in work, start now. Start now creating the skill set and the ability to bring in income in other ways outside of a full-time job so that you're creating stability for yourself. The other thing that I want to say in terms of creating stability for yourself is that there's some of y'all who you've had a little something in you that has thought about entrepreneurship, that's thought about creating a business. And as someone who's in that mix, I will never say that it's easy. It is not, it is not easy. But I want to invite you to consider that it can be an avenue and strategy for creating stability for yourself. Because as we're moving into times where things are more and more uncertain, you will need to be even more adaptable and you will need to be even more creative. You will need to be even more connected to community and you'll need to be even more skilled up in terms of your ability and confidence that you can make money without an employer. And for me, that was something that I really started to connect into that with all of this uncertainty happened. I wanted to be sure that I was building the skills and the confidence that I can build money. I can bring in money and income without an employer. I can adapt to a context so that I can do what I need to do to provide for myself. If you are someone that is exploring the entrepreneurship route, the other option that I want to put out to you is called The Walkout. If you know Vivian Castillo, she is a former UX leader and worked at companies like Salesforce. And she hosts this experience, a 2-day experience called Join the Walkout. No fluff, no frills, but just a really powerful space to come together with other UX design and tech folks who want to explore what is possible outside of just staying in the corporate mix. So I will put that information there as well. She's already done one round of this with kind of some co-conspirators, and I believe the wait list is now open for the next round that she's doing. So that's another avenue I invite you to take to start considering what's possible for you. You don't just have to sit in the unknown. You don't just have to sit in the uncertainty. You have options. The next spicy take that I want to offer, and this one I think is going to be really spicy, Some of you could probably retire right now. Like, if you actually, like, did the math and potentially in some cases, maybe if you relocated, you could actually retire right now. And a lot of this take came from I spoke this week with a woman named Erica Ho, who is a financial coach. And more specifically, she works with techies who feel trapped in their golden handcuffs to essentially find freedom through entering semi-retirement in their 30s and 40s. And with this spicy take, I'm going to take a step back and talk a little bit about the FIRE movement, which, if you don't know about FIRE, stands for Financial Independence Retire Early. It now has a variety of forms and flavors, and I think some people feel like, FIRE or trying to retire early is about depriving yourself as much as possible, during your prime years so that you can hit a specific number, and then only when you hit that specific number, then you can enjoy life. That's not how I think about what the movement is. I essentially think that it's about that, like, life is for living, and that it's about aligning your finances to your core values. And the founders of it, Vicky Robin and Joe Dominguez, they founded it in the 80s. And in connected with it, they wrote a book called Your Money or Your Life, which I would highly recommend. And really, what they talk about in the book, it's not talking about just depriving yourself to deprive yourself so that you can try early. They're talking about, like, how can you live your life and be present to your life? And how can you be conscious and mindful of what you're spending your life force on? Because we only have this one life. What are you spending your life force on? And what are you spending your money on that does not support that life force, that does not support the life and values that you hold? And so I love the story that Erica shared, that one of her clients was living in the San Francisco Bay Area, working a job in tech, but, like, not happy. So she did some modeling and was like, well, like, based on kind of your money and things, I mean, like, you could retire now in Barcelona and Spain. So it's like, would you rather be miserable or would you rather retire now? And side note, like, this is not a plug for, like, just moving to other countries with a lower cost of living and messing things up for locals there, but that's a conversation for another time. But what I love about the work that Erica is doing, and I said this to her, is you're inviting your clients into possibility. Because some of y'all are stuck in golden handcuffs because you're spending money on things that you don't even care about. Like, you have a big house, you have certain types of cars, you buy all the new gadgets as soon as they come out, you spend money on all the things. But inviting you to consider, have you paused to think, like, is this even really what I want? Is this what my family wants? Does this bring us life? Does it bring us joy? And again, this isn't a call to be like, you need to be austere or not spend money on nice things. I'm just saying, spend money on, like, what's really of value to me, to you. So to give an example for me, like, even when I can afford it, I never I've never been into cars. I've never been, I know some people are really into that. I was never into cars. So I was, like, using, the hand-me-down 2001 Honda Civic from my brother that, at the time it's like 20 years old, but it runs, it's safe. And that's great for me because for me, I really have no interest in having a certain type of car. I'm just like, great. But for me, when I travel, for example, I like being comfortable in my accommodations. I know some people are like, "Oh, well, like, it's just a place where, like, you, like, are sleeping." I'm like, "No, that's not how it is for me." I wanna be really comfortable in the space. So it doesn't necessarily mean I'm like, "Oh, it has to be luxury." But I spend a lot of time, like, looking and being like, what's the place?" And I'm willing to, within my financial means, whatever that is, spend, like, more money on that so that I can feel comfortable. So that's what I mean, that, like, you have different levers and things that you value. And so the invitation here is to, one, do the math. And I literally mean, like, do the math, because a lot of times, and I say this too with people in terms of taking career breaks, the math makes it real. Because sometimes you'll think, "Oh, well, I can't do this," but it's like, have you actually, like, thought about, like, well, what you specifically wanna do, the cost to that, and have you actually looked at what's possible? Because when you look at it, a lot of times you see, like, "Oh, wait, this is actually possible, and it may actually be very possible." And or when you do the math, even if it's not possible right then, you have the information you need to start working towards what you want. So number 1 is do the math. The second is reflect on your expenses and lifestyle, and reflect on if it actually matches what you find value in, what helps bring ease to your life, what gives you life and joy, or are you just on autopilot and you just kind of like, you have the money, you can spend it, and maybe it might even be sometimes like you're not like totally tuned into your life or happy, so you're kind of just like, "Ah, I don't know, I can spend it on this." Just inviting you to consider that, because that can free up resources that then you can invest in things that you do want to do. And I don't know, maybe even you hit semi-retirement, you realize you can do that. So those are my two spicy takes. Like I said, pretty short. The third thing that I just want to note though is, when I think about these things, my desire with my work is to help, in particular, folks in tech ask the most important questions in life. Because for me, during the pandemic, I realized that I was really miserable in my life. And I realized if I lost my life in that moment, that I would feel a lot of regret. And as my favorite poets, the late Mary Oliver, says from one of her most famous poems, tell me, what is it you want to do with your one wild and precious life? Because as far as I know, this is it. This is all we have. So I want to invite you, my people in tech, my community, I want to invite you to live. And living is not necessarily about like, oh, I traveled the world and I did XYZ experiences that look amazing on TikTok or Instagram or whatever. Living is about being free, and being free, different than free and freedom is not, I get to do whatever I want to do. I actually think the definition of freedom is the capacity to live in alignment with your values. And that's what I want to invite people into. I did market research interviews last fall, and I loved what one of the people said about a choice that she and her partner had made. She said, "We downgraded all kinds of things in order to make this work because we would rather live a tiny life that is free rather than a big, expensive life that is soul destroying." I thought that was such a powerful quote. And that's what I want to invite you into, that you can live a life that feels free. You don't have to keep choosing a life that feels soul destroying. So that's what I'll leave you with. And thanks for coming to my TED Talk, my spicy takes. If you watch this now, or if you watch this later, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, either in the comments, always welcome. Also, always welcome to send me a DM. I'd love to hear your thoughts. A couple other things that I just want to note is one, I am putting together a workshop for folks who the market is shaky, you're concerned, maybe you'd love to take a career break or create a sabbatical, but you just really feel like it's not the season or the best choice for you to do that now. This workshop is going to be focused on how can you use the Family Medical Leave Act, or FMLA for short, or short and long-term disability, in order to create a career break for yourself that does not require you to quit your job. So for many folks, you might have a benefit of short and long-term disability. And so this workshop will aim to give you the resources to understand what those benefits are, things to watch out for, to understand how that might work best for you. And the intention is that you would leave the workshop, one, with kind of clear actionable steps that you could start taking towards using those resources in order to create a career break for yourself. And two, access to additional support. So I'll be working with a couple of folks who either will be sharing their experiences of how they used FMLA to take these career breaks. And one of those folks is a person who she's a prior licensed mental health practitioner, and so has also worked with folks in terms of kind of how you communicate and work with your employer and HR, and using those benefits in order to make it happen. So that's coming on the radar. I Let me know if you have questions, thoughts on that. If there's interest in that, we'll be opening up the wait list for that soon. And the other invitation I'll say is that, I'm in a period where I'm chatting with folks about, maybe you're in a period where you're experiencing burnout, or you're experiencing a lot of dissonance, friction with where you are in life. Maybe you just feel like something's off, or you feel like there's something new stirring in you. So I'd love to have conversation with you about what's stirring for you, and potential options for how I can support you through coaching. And with that, I think thanks to folks, if you're here or if you watch us later. Thanks for showing up. And oh, hi, Marie. Thank you for sending that kind message, Marie. I appreciate it. So thanks to folks who are present here. Thanks if you watch us later. And regardless of if I hear from you or not, truly, truly, what I am hoping for you is that in these very uncertain times, that you feel connected to yourself, to your breath, to your body, that you're connected to your people, that you hold your people close, and that you have courage and hope and imagination to build a life and career that matches who you are and resonates for you, because you're worthy of that. You're worthy of that, and you're worthy of living in freedom and alignment with your values. So, with that, I wish you a lovely rest of your day, and I'll talk to you later.